In Syria, a new chapter is about to unfold. This Sunday, the country will hold its first parliamentary elections since the dramatic fall of Bashar al-Assad, ending his 23-year rule. But amid hope for change lies deep uncertainty and growing concerns that this vote may be more about control than democracy. It's been 10 months since Assad was ousted by Ahmed al-Sharaa, who led the forces that finally toppled the longtime dictator. After 13 years of brutal civil war, a conflict that killed over 600,000 people and displaced more than 12 million Syrians, the nation now faces the daunting task of rebuilding not only its cities but its political system. These elections, the first of a transitional period, are meant to mark Syria's shift from dictatorship to democracy. But there's a catch. Ordinary Syrians won't be voting directly. Instead of a nationwide popular vote, the People's Assembly, Syria's new parliament, will be chosen through an indirect process. So-called electoral colleges will select 2/3 of the 210 parliamentary members, while President al-Sharaa himself will appoint the remaining 70 seats. The president's office says this system is necessary because millions of Syrians remain refugees abroad, many without identification or the ability to vote. But critics argue this structure gives al-Sharaa near total control over the makeup of parliament, raising fears that the country's new transitional democracy could quickly resemble the old authoritarian model. Adding to the controversy, elections have been postponed in 3 key provinces, Raqqa, Hassakeh, and Suweida, due to what officials call security concerns. These regions tell a story of Syria's lingering fractures. Raqqa and Hassakeh are largely under the control of Kurdish-led forces from the Syrian Democratic Forces, who have refused to fully integrate into the new state structure. Suweida, home to the Druze minority, has seen deadly clashes between Druze militias and Sunni Bedouin tribes. In July, those sectarian battles claimed over 1,000 lives, mostly Druze civilians, a grim reminder of how fragile Syria's unity still is. With the voting suspended in these areas, only 50 out of 60 districts will participate in Sunday's election, leaving 20 parliamentary seats empty until further notice. According to official figures, more than 1,500 candidates are competing for seats, but with heavy restrictions. Anyone with ties to the former Assad regime, terrorist groups, or advocates of separatism or foreign intervention are automatically disqualified. Each electoral college must include at least 20% women, but there are no mandatory quotas for female lawmakers or minority representation, a point that has drawn strong criticism from civil society groups. Last month, 14 Syrian NGOs released a joint statement warning that the president's power to appoint 1/3 of parliament and his influence over the electoral committees make the process symbolic at best. They argue that the election undermines its representative nature, giving the executive branch dominance over a parliament that should be independent and accountable. President al-Sharaa, however, insists the system is a practical necessity. He also defended the appointment of the Higher Committee for Elections, an 11-member body he personally selected, saying it was the best option under current conditions. The committee argues that elections in the 3 suspended provinces will be held once stability is restored. But not everyone is convinced. Thuraya Mustafa, a Kurdish politician from the Democratic Union Party, accused the interim government of repeating old mistakes. In Druze-majority Suweida, residents express similar frustration. For many Syrians, this feels less like democracy and more like an appointment process dressed as reform. As Syria approaches this historic vote, optimism is scarce. While President al-Sharaa has promised to build institutions that guarantee the rights of all, human rights observers fear that the new parliament will be little more than a political tool to legitimize one-man rule. Still, for a country shattered by over a decade of war, even symbolic elections signal a desire for normalcy. But whether this process leads to a rebirth of democracy or simply a rebranding of authoritarianism remains to be seen. From the ashes of dictatorship, Syria now faces its most crucial test. The world watches. Will this be the beginning of real reform or the continuation of a cycle that refuses to break?